Hello, sir. Hello.
Hey, so, how has your day been so far?
It was busy day as I was organizing my home, trying to shift in this room. Earlier, I was taking session from my living room, so I decided to shift to some silent spot. So I decided this room is the perfect without any disturbance.
Okay, okay. So you got your entire setup from the living room to this new
Yes,
room.
yes, yes, yes.
Wonderful. So, Pramila,
Mm.
if I may ask you, what do you do? Like, do you work apart from the YouTube thing? Do you work?
Yes, I am a government employee. I teach in government school.
Oh, wow, that's nice. What subjects do you teach?
English, sir.
Mhm. Brilliant. Which standards?
Up to secondary level.
Up to secondary level. That's nice. So you basically have to cover everything, including grammar, pronunciation, all of those things.
Yes, yes, please.
That's nice. And for how long have you been on YouTube?
Uh, Last year, I started this channel for my school students,
Okay.
but I was not consistent on this. So from end of May, I decided to be consistent, and so every day I'm posting videos of conversation and something related to grammar or vocabulary.
Okay, that's nice. All right. So, since you are my guest, I would like for you to tell me what you want to speak about. I mean, not only speak about if there's anything that I can help you to clarify when it comes to not only your students, but even the people who are watching your channel. Be free to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
me any kinds of
Yes.
questions.
Okay. Uh, Today I was listening to some podcast. Then it was actually um, it was sort of a first post by Palki Sharma about reading. Like today's
Okay.
generation is not reading. It is
Mhm.
not keen into reading like paper books.
Right.
So what is the importance of reading for if I talk about spoken English or when we need to use this communication skill, so how important reading is
Well, if
if
you
we
ask me
want to
how
improve our
important,
communication skills? Yes.
if you want to ask me how important reading is, I would say it is very important. Reason being, reading helps you in multiple ways. Okay. For example, reading will help you in grammar. The reason being that whenever a book is going to be published, right, it has to go through a quality check before it is published, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it goes through this quality check, they check for grammatical errors. They check where the commas are, where the full stops are, where the inverted commas are, stuff of that sort. Okay? So it will help you with your grammar. Secondly, it helps a lot with vocabulary. Okay, especially when you're reading, you come across a lot of new words, right?
Yes, no
So
doubt.
what you can do is while you're reading, if you find a new word, you can quickly just search, online. Go on Google. You can find the meaning of the word. You can find the pronunciation of the word. And then what you do is, as far as using these words are concerned, you
Mm-hmm.
learn the word, you find out the meaning, you find out the pronunciation, and then you start making your own sentences using that particular word, right?
Yes, yes.
And the third
True,
thing,
sir. Mhm.
reading helps you with your sentence structure or your sentence formation, right? Because when you are speaking with someone else, a person, let's say, for example, if you're speaking with your friend, right? And you use broken English or you use sentences that are not properly formed, your friend is not
Mhm.
going to tell you that you did not form the sentence correctly, right? However, when you read a book, you learn how a particular sentence needs to be formed, how the formation is, how the structure of the sentences are, stuff of that sort.
Mhm.
So I would say reading is very important when it comes to learning the language.
Yes. Like if a beginner is starting, so what sort of books a beginner should start with?
Like absolute beginner.
Yeah, it means English is second language for that learner. Then,
Well, then they should go for books that has the simplest English, books that do not use complicated words. You know, a lot of my students, actually, adult students, okay, they tend to read children's storybooks,
yes, yes,
right?
yes,
Because children's
yes.
storybooks do not use complicated words, but
Hmm.
children's storybooks are still grammatically correct and they still use the correct formation. So a lot of my students they tend to gravitate towards reading children's books, and then they move on to more complicated books.
Yes, very true. And this is what I suggest for beginners and learners, those who are means they are not very much friendly with new vocabs or difficult words. So instead of like searching for some beginners book, they can start from their kids school books,
Yeah.
even moral
Yes.
education or English grammar or English reader even.
Correct.
Yes. And if we in like my son, he is in class grade 5, so I love to read his books.
Mm.
It's of life skills, one and other one English grammar and English reader too. So I love to underline and take some phrases they use best means they have put in very much effort in creating that book. So I love
Right.
to note down something so that I can use in my school for my students. So reading, I just always ask my son also to read a paragraph and then form. It's a sort of means paraphrase, like write two important lines sidewise what you read in that paragraph. Same way we can ask our learners to read and underline some special sentence structure. If you find that that can be very beneficial for you, and or otherwise just underline phrases or sentence vocabulary words.
The other
This
thing
is
that they could do is, let's say,
Mhm.
for example, they read a paragraph, right? Then they close the book, they take out a notebook, and
Mhm.
in their own words, they should write that entire paragraph using their
Yes,
own
yes.
words. And they can
Very
match
nice.
what they wrote with the
Mm.
paragraph that is actually in the book and see
Mhm.
where they stand, if they have used the correct sentence structure, the correct grammar, the correct words, so
Of
they can
course.
match what they wrote and what is in the book.
Yes, this is sort of activity like we generally ask to go for journaling every day. So
Yeah.
this is what you are reading and then you are recapitulating the things in your own words. This is a sort of that activity. Yes, it proves very beneficial even for if somebody is in intermediate or advanced level too. They can also apply this for their learning. And one thing more, like somebody said, first you should cram grammar rules, or first you should practice, then you should come to your speaking skill. What do you say about this?
It's completely upside down
Yes, yes, yes.
because you know what a person should focus on before they focus on grammar. They should focus more on fluency, right?
Hmm.
Because as a person improves their fluency, they would start to notice that even their grammar has started improving, right?
Of
Now,
course,
you
yes.
tell me, if I tell you, okay, this is a new language for you, and you decide that, okay, I will learn all the grammar concepts. Now, when
Hmm.
you're learning the grammar concepts, you are not actually using them in sentences. You're not using them in
Very
everyday
true.
speech, right?
Yes,
You're not
yes,
using
yes.
them in conversation. So what's the
Hmm.
use of learning grammar when you're not going to learn, when you're not going to use it fluently? So what I would say
Yes.
is first focus on your fluency, then focus on your grammar.
Very nice. This is what I ask my grade 10 students. Like, if you are cramming grammar and still you are not able to express yourself, that means you are doing nothing. And
Right.
particularly, I talk about in English. So I always tell them try to speak in English during my class. This is your challenge, and for 7 days, 10 days, you will feel that it's a challenge or tedious, but then you will be used to, and you will not understand that how much grammar you are learning meanwhile while you are speaking.
Yes.
Every sort of tenses and models and verbs, they are using that, means it's a practical implication of grammar theory what we taught teach them in their class.
True.
And somebody said, like, for increasing your fluency, first you should think and then speak, or it's a vice versa.
No, no. You have to think and then speak, because what is happening in most parts of India is that since English is their second or third language, what people tend to do is they tend to think in their native language and then speak in English. Now, what happens
Mm-hmm.
here is the grammar takes a toss, the sentence
Mm-hmm.
formation takes a toss. So, the challenge that they face is thinking in a native language and then speaking in English. What they should do is think in English and speak in English. Even if
Yes,
it's broken
yes.
English, even if it's broken English, at least start. Okay.
Mm.
No one, no one can be perfect in a particular language if they're just starting, but they need to at least start thinking and then speaking.
Yes, yes. See, this is also like I convey this in the way that for to have your fluency, you start speaking, and your effort should be that you are able to express yourself. If somebody is able to grasp or comprehend what you are saying, that means you are going on the right path. And
Yeah.
after means you will realize, yes, this record yourself and listen to yourself and try to find the errors and correct yourself after listening, and then you will come to know this. I should think this sentence in this way, and next time I'm going to frame this sentence and convey in that sense. So
True.
it means, it doesn't mean first you should translate that in English. Like, you are thinking in your native, then you are translating, and then you are expressing. Means we should encourage them to express a lot. And meanwhile,
Yeah.
we expressing, we should, like, as a tutor, we should correct them to speak.
Yes.
So, like, if I said, somebody asked, like, how you learned English, this, I was in boarding school, so I started, it was a means of communication there, so it was very natural. We were not forced to learn some grammar rules or sentence structure, but meanwhile, like, studying in a and gradually going to standard raising, and we learned that theory part of grammar too. So if I talk about housewives, those who are at home and not able to communicate with others, then how should they practice their speaking skills?
Well, nowadays there are actually a lot of ways. For example, watch YouTube videos, uh, watch movies, right? Listen to podcasts, listen to music even, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but they need to do these things in English. Uh, what a lot of housewives do is that they will do whatever the work is that they have to get done. Then they will start watching videos in Hindi or other languages.
Yes,
Instead
yes.
of watching, videos or movies and stuff in native languages, why don't you give English a try, right?
Of course. Yes,
Along
yes.
with that, put on the subtitles. So as the person is speaking, you are reading at the same time. So you are getting double understanding. You are listening as
Mm-hmm.
well and you are reading also.
Yes. And in this, like, it is very helpful if the person is watching cartoons or kids movie, animated movies. They use very easy words and repeat that phrase in word once or twice. So means in increasing your fluency or understanding English, it means I prefer to go for cartoons and animated series
Yeah, it
instead of
does work.
going for, yes, high level English or listening to some English news. And if you want to erase your standard or you upskill your level, then you can go for further things.
Yeah. The-
And how
That
to
will.
boost that confidence, like how to maintain their motivation and
So
consistency.
this is a very good question. And what I would say the reason that they need to be consistent, whether it is a housewife, whether it is a student, whether it is a working professional, what we need to understand nowadays is that everything that you do requires some level of English.
Hmm.
Simple example. Let's say if a lady is a housewife, right? She might be thinking that, hey, I'm a housewife, I don't need English, right? I'm not going to go out and work. Switch that. Why? I'll tell you. Let's say a housewife has a child. As the child grows up, right? Nowadays, all of us want our kids to go to English medium schools, right?
Yes.
Now, let's say the child is in standard four, standard five, standard six. The child comes home with some homework, right? Now, the homework is obviously going to be in English. As a mother, see, I'm using this typical housewife thing, but I believe in this gender equality. It is the mothers, they want to be at home. So let's say that she wants to help the child, right? How is she going to help the child if she herself doesn't understand or comprehend English?
Yes, yes. Very true.
So she needs to learn English before she can help her own child with his or her homework. Right? The same thing
Yes.
goes for every working professional, for every student. When you go to a company to start working, you need to understand that nowadays 95% or even more of the companies require you to speak English to some extent. Even someone who is, let's say, a software developer, right? A software developer, 90% of their work is on the laptop, on a system.
Hmm. Hmm.
However, they have to communicate their tasks on the laptop to the program, right? And that is in English. If they were to have a meeting with the teams of software developers, right? Even if it's just an Indian team, you cannot expect that a person from South India will understand a person from Northern India, right? People from South India, they don't speak Hindi, right? So there, if it's, let's say, for example, Malayalam, Telugu, these are all first languages. Their second language is English. So how will you communicate if you don't understand Malayali or Telugu? You will communicate with them in English, right? So that's the reason that every kind of work, so yeah, they just need to understand that they need to be consistent because whatever they want to do in the future, they will need English.
Hmm. What I think, like, if somebody is motivated after watching some videos or watching someone else learning something, they start with this learning cycle. But when they don't get the desired result in a so-called stipulated time, they feel demotivated and they leave that learning cycle. So, what do you want to say about this? Like what you stated, it means that English is a bridge language that connects different people from different dialects in language and other. If I mean to say, it's a language, global language, I would say. Like it
Yeah,
is used in trade, also in administration too, and in teaching. Like I am from government school. I'm teaching in government school. But we all circulars and all everything is published in English,
exactly. So the
and they
person needs to
use perfect,
understand.
so they use advanced level of vocabulary while they are circulating these circulars and notice, and this
So what
happens
they
in.
need to understand is they shouldn't lose motivation because they need to be patient with a language like English. English is a very difficult language, but it is a very rewarding language as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Promila, unfortunately, we've run out of time,
Oh,
and it
sure.
has been an absolutely lovely session with you. All right.
Same here,
I hope to
sir.
see you soon again. Keep
Yeah, yeah.
smiling,
Okay. Thank you
and
so
I wish you all the
much.
best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me your insight and have a nice day.
You too. Bye bye.